Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's just dive in. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the line as he does most Fridays. He usually was every Friday, but not anymore because he's important now or something. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend.com is on the line. What's up, dude?
Wow, you make it sound like I wasn't important before.
Well, I mean, like,
was,
you're important to me, but, like, you're important to the world now.
certain corners of it, yeah. It may have been a couple weeks since we talked because of things that came up here and there.
The name of Mike Reyes rings far and wide or something. I don't know, dude. I was trying. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. So we're going to talk about movies this week, and we'll get to your. You were at the Toronto Film Festival last week, and we'll talk about that here after reviews and whatnot. But diving right in, what movies do we have for this week, Mike?
Well, I will start with a Netflix film that I saw for this week. Well, first of all, there's a lot of movies coming out this week, and I have not been able to see all of them.
We're going to do our
some of the
best.
ones you won't see, because some of the ones you won't hear about this week are, I didn't get to see The Woman King, which has been getting some, I think, mixed to positive reviews. I didn't get to see Confess Fletch, which looks fantastic because John Hamm doing the Fletch stick is amazing, and then seeing him again with John Slattery is heartwarming.
Okay.
Blonde is being released into limited theaters. The new Netflix Marilyn Monroe movie with Ana de Armas, which I'm hearing wild things about already, and it's their first NC-17 film. So
It's NC-17, really?
Oh yes.
Oh
yes, it is.
It's called Blonde?
Yes, and it will be on Netflix streaming, I believe, the 28th. So we'll probably be trying to get. I want to see if I can get to a streamer of that beforehand so we can talk about it then.
Okay.
But oh man, that is a really interesting thing. The remake of Goodnight Mommy is on Amazon Prime this weekend.
Alrighty.
And that's another one I have to say. But what I have seen this week is A Jazzman's Blues, which is, this is another Netflix movie. It's a new Tyler Perry Netflix movie. This is in select theaters this weekend and will be on Netflix itself September 23rd.
Okay.
So it is the story of a young man who is in, I want to say it's the 1920s South. And, he falls in love with this girl that he knows, and circumstances take them apart from each other. There are some complications along the way, and there may be a murder or two.
A murder, you say?
A murder most foul, good sir.
Okay, now you're talking.
And it's okay. I mean, Tyler Perry is a really interesting person to talk to, and I actually got to sit down with him, as well as Joshua Boone and Celia Pfeiffer, the stars of the film, at the Toronto International Film Festival. And, naturally, as part of prep, you have to watch the movie. That's just movie reviewer, movie writer 101. Watch the movie. You know what you're talking about. I mean, I could probably write a book about this stuff. But
maybe you should.
Maybe I should. What I can say is I think it's one of Tyler Perry's better movies. It might even be his best film from what I've seen, because he was inspired by late playwright August Wilson, who had written plays like The Piano Teacher or Fences, which became a huge deal with Denzel Washington and Viola Davis.
Okay.
But so he was inspired by him to write this sort of bittersweet drama that's set in a period that sometimes doesn't feel too far off from our own. And while it's still a bit shorthanded and cliched to a certain extent, it holds up better than some of the other Tyler Perry movies I've seen.
Okay.
So it's definitely, I would tell people to give it a look. Again, select theaters this weekend, Netflix on September 23rd.
Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend.com joining me to talk about movies. What's that one? Did you see the one that kind of looks like a Knives Out ripoff or something?
Oh, that's going to be our next film. See how they run.
Okay, yeah. That's what I don't know anything about this film other than what I've seen in the trailer. But when I saw it, all I could think of was, man, this looks like someone doing like a knockoff version of Knives Out.
I really wish it was that fun, because it looked good in the trailers, because I saw the trailers and it looked like it had the same sort of energy as like the older whodunits that Knives Out is taking its cues from.
Yeah.
And the basic story is there's a successful West End play in 1953 where a director or producer, I forget if he was a director or producer, played by Adrian Brody, gets killed. And it's up to an inspector and a constable, played by Sam Rockwell and Saoirse Ronan, respectively, to investigate this crime and find out, obviously, who done it and why done it. And again, period who done it. All-star cast of people, including the people that I've mentioned, and also David Oyelowo's in there, and Rhys Shearsmith from, I believe he's from Inside Number 9. Like, there's wonderful talent as a part of this film, and it looked so good, and it just fell flat for me.
Okay.
It did not feel like it had the energy and the excitement that a movie, that a whodunit like a Knives Out or even Death on the Nile had. And again, this is a year of whodunits because in addition to See How They Run, Glass Onion's coming later this year, and Death on the Nile arrived earlier.
Remind me, did Death on the Nile live up to what you thought it was good? Like, was that good?
I loved Death on the Nile.
Okay, all right.
I loved Death on the Nile. I've seen Glass Onion, and I'm not sure if I can talk much about it.
Okay,
even though I can throw in a general reaction. But I'm sorry, this disappointed me.
All right. I'm kind of okay hearing that because these types of movies seem to be the types of movies that if they're done really well, they're great. But then if you start getting inundated with it, you kind of lose track of it. So I'm glad you didn't care for it.
Thanks, Mike. I'm glad that you hated this. I'm glad that you did not like this movie and you don't recommend it.
It's more the thing of like when one good zombie movie came out and then all we had was zombie movies or a vampire movie or that style of movie. That's more what I'm talking about. Where it's like
it's trend chasing.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad when maybe this will stop the trend. Because it seems like Knives Out was its own thing. They did it really well, and I want to see more of that. I don't want to see someone else try to do it and fail miserably. I'm sorry.
True. That makes sense, but I will say this. The trend is going to have a little more life to it because Glass Onion lived up to the hype and then some.
Okay. Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend.com joining me on the line to talk about movies. Let's wrap up the reviews with one last movie. What do you have?
Pearl.
Girl.
Pearl.
Pearl.
Yes, Pearl.
I thought you said girl.
No. Well, Pearl is about a girl named Pearl. So this is
Dr. Seuss.
Prequel to. Yes, this is a Dr. Seuss. Oh my! I don't know. I would love to see Ty West do a Dr. Seuss movie in his own sick and twisted way, but Pearl is the prequel to X, which came out earlier this year. Really fun porno slasher. And Pearl is the prequel that focuses on the older woman in X, and played once again by Mia Goth. We're sent back to 1918 or 1917, I forget which year, but we're sent back to, the World War I period where her husband is off fighting in the war, and Pearl wants to be a star, and she'll do anything it takes to become a star.
All right, so Pearl, so it's the sequel to X. And that's interesting. Is that a quick turnaround on that, or I feel like this was like a planned thing?
All right. So, well, first of all, it's the prequel because it happens before.
Or prequel. I'm sorry.
The big thing was while they were making X, Ty West started building the idea for Pearl.
That's it.
And
yeah,
and then it eventually got to the point where he gathered the resources. He built out some time in the shoot where they shot both Pearl and X together. And so that way, by time he released X at, I think it was at South by Southwest Film Festival, he had a teaser already put together for Pearl. He did the same damn thing this time because, and I'm sad that I missed the Midnight Madness screening because this was another case where I saw the movie before the festival premiere, did a junket for it, and then that was it. He premiered a teaser for the third film, which is going to take place in the 80s, called Maxine.
Oh,
which
really?
The other character from X. Yeah. Like, he had said that there were plans, and I even asked him in the junket, I was like, so is the script completed? And he's like, oh, we have an idea. Like, we have an idea, and, we're working on it.
That mother lied to your face.
He was playing his cards so carefully and so smooth, and I tip my hat to him for that. I also tip my hand to him for Pearl because this doesn't feel like it was a spur of the moment. I just came up with this, and it doesn't feel like a random movie that they were making.
Yeah.
This absolutely feels like an organic and welcome expansion of the universe. This time he's playing around, and in X he was playing around with like grindhouse and sleazy 70s porno genres. Now he's playing with like melodramatic, like Wizard of Oz, Technicolor and heightened drama sort of things. And again, Mia Goth shines as Pearl. She reprises the role as the younger version of herself from X. And she also has a co-writing credit on this movie because she helped develop the character and the story with Ty West, and she still owns this character totally. There is a whole dramatic monologue where everything just stops and focuses on her. It's a confession scene, or a confessional scene, where like she's basically laying a whole bunch of stuff out, and it's just electric. But again, they're playing around with classic Hollywood themes, but the horror movie does sneak in and eventually take over.
Okay.
And it's just as beautiful as last time. I cannot wait to see what happens with Maxine, because that's supposed to be 1985 Hollywood, the VHS era of things. I have an idea of where things are going, but again, even with that in mind, it could just blow me away again, and I'm really hoping for that.
Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend.com joining me. So that's going to take care of the reviews for the week. We'll get to some of the other ones here next week. And there's going to be a possible review of a certain show coming to Disney Plus, but we'll talk about that later because I don't want to get you in trouble. So.
Oh, yes. Something has made its way into my inbox, and so without naming names, there has been a kerfluffle because someone apparently broke embargo on this particular show.
Really?
And threw a reaction up on Twitter. Yep.
Oh, man. That's not good. So,
no, I mean, embargoes are there for a reason.
I'll tell you a story off the air. Mike Reyes, what do we want to talk about movie news-wise? Let's talk a little bit about your trip to the Toronto Film Festival last week. What did we see and what did we do, and what happened?
So, as you had mentioned, starting last when did I? It's all such a blur because I felt like Swiss cheese at the beginning of this trip last week. So last Thursday, like I'm up all night Wednesday morning because I want to get to the airport early so that way I can get to my flight. And I arrived Thursday morning in Toronto. Basically had to keep myself awake and outdoors because we couldn't check into the Airbnb yet. Like got in there first thing in the morning, couldn't check in until that afternoon, but everything was settled. Nice little apartment. Had a fantastic roommate on staff with me. Corey, my dear friend, you were a great roommate and an excellent colleague. Action started for me that afternoon because I think I'll just run off a quick list of what I saw. Women Talking,
okay, that's
which is an interesting movie. That the Weird Al Yankovic story.
Oh, can you talk about that yet?
I can talk about it. I mean, it's not going to be a full-on review, but I've written a reaction on CinemaBlend. I can talk about it. It is so much damn fun.
That's all you need to say.
It is a midnight movie in the making because the way that this crowd ate this up. Yeah. I mean, first of all, they did show it at Midnight Madness, which, the Toronto International Film Festival. I'm just going to call it TIFF. They call it TIFF for short. TIFF has Midnight Madness where they run like literally weird offbeat stuff in that slot. And the crowd has the energy. I mean, it started at 11:59. We got out at about a little after 2 because there was also a Q&A at the end with like Al Yankovic was there, Daniel Radcliffe, Evan Rachel Wood, Eric Appel, the co-writer director. Like they were there doing a Q&A. So after movie and Q&A, we got out late. And something my editor Sean had said to me, and I totally agreed. It's like for a movie to be that good. If a movie's that good, it carries you through those late nights. This is something that it's going to be on Roku in November. It's going to be free and streaming. I want this to go to theaters for like midnight Rocky Horror style screenings.
That's what it kind of sounded like.
There was a flash mob out front dressed as Al singing "I Love Rocky Road" and like just taking over the front of the theater. That's the sort of thing I want to see in theaters.
That's awesome. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and then I also saw The Menu, which is fantastic. The Fabelmans, Steven Spielberg's new movie. Empire of Light, which is Sam Mendes' new movie, and both of those are sort of love letters to the movies in their own way. Whereas The Fabelmans is sort of a fictionalized version of Steven Spielberg's own childhood / young adult years. And Empire of Light is Sam Mendes' tribute to cinema workers. And, to close everything off, I saw Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. And as I had said before, that is excellent, excellent work. I can't wait to talk more about this and what went into it. And Daniel Craig looks even more comfortable playing Benoit Blanc this time. So let the man do it as much as he wants.
Perfect. That's what I want to hear. Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend.com. Joining me, that's a little bit of the Toronto Film Festival. Real quick, what's going on in the movie world news-wise? There's been like a lot of rumors and stuff, but what's kind of stuck out to you the last couple of days?
Well, are there any specific rumors you want to talk about? Because there's like a whole bunch of stuff that's floating around. I know what you're talking about.
Is that your coy way of coming around to what we were talking about earlier?
No, I was buying myself some time to remember what we were talking about. But I remember what we were talking about because there's a certain comic book actor / hunk / geek that has been dominating the rumor mill lately. One Henry Cavill, if you will, and Henry Cavill is bueno.
That's good.
So, yes, I broke him.
That was really
so
funny.
the two big rumors that are centering around Henry Cavill are that he is possibly being cast in season 2 of Loki, which I believe is filming currently.
Yeah.
And the other rumor is that he may be playing Dr. Victor Von Doom in the Fantastic Four / in the MCU. And these rumors do come up at very interesting times because we don't really know the validity of the sources. We've kind of seen this stuff pop up on the internet, and it's like, well, is this source correct? Do we have this right here? Do we have all our facts straightened? What I can say is both of these projects it's not like they're just rumoring him for something that no one's been talking about. Loki season 2 is filming, and there was a panel at D23, but of course, nothing as big as Henry Cavill is announced for this season. And we also don't know much about the Fantastic Four movie except Matthew Shackman from WandaVision is directing it. However, there has been a chain of rumors / potential revelations about Victor Von Doom circling around because I think someone else had rumored, or at least maybe it was just fan art I saw, but someone was saying that Cillian Murphy might be a candidate for that role. And there was some really cool fan art to go along with it. I think Boss Logic was the artist that was doing it, and someone drops a whisper of a rumor, and that dude is ready to just throw out some really choice art, and it's really cool. But the other rumor that came out, and I think we may have talked about this earlier, was that Howard Stern was talking during an ad break on his show earlier this summer. And apparently he was talking to Robin about how he had some sort of Marvel role in some sort of Doctor Doom related project. So who knows if that's something that they're filming for, say, a secret Doctor Doom short that they're doing, or it could be an end credit sequence for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania for next year or something.
Well, I mean, if you put the pieces together, at some point you have to have Victor Von Doom. If you're going to have the Fantastic Four at some point, I'm not saying that he has to be the first villain or whatever that they face, but that's going to be a character that's going to be a part of the mythos.
Well, yeah. And, as we've seen with the MCU before, these sort of things are layered on in post-credit sequences, and they may not pay off until a couple more movies.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember which movie it was that at the end we saw Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver for the first time in the Hydra Lab.
It was...
was that Winter Soldier?
Maybe?
I'm trying to remember. It's been so many Marvel movies.
There's so many end credits.
Where it's like the Eternals just dropped Harry Styles as Eros. Who knows when we're going to see him again? But the point is, you have those little tent poles, those little stakes in the ground that things come back to. And obviously, if you really wanted to, you could probably just drop Victor Von Doom into a Fantastic Four origin story. But what's probably more than likely going to happen is, since Kang the Conqueror is introducing us to multiversal variants and sort of, the multiversal conflict, that's probably where the Fantastic Four is going to start off because of that. especially since there's such a multiversal, interdimensional group of players to begin with, as we saw in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This is the most knowledgeable I've felt about Marvel in a while, and I want to thank you for this.
You're welcome, I guess. I don't know.
Thank you, because it's just sometimes I feel like I've gotten so out of touch with it that people are going to be like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But like I've actually felt like I know what I'm talking about right now with Marvel.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, world. No, the other rumor I saw about him was that him and Elizabeth Olsen might be showing up in House of the Dragon season 2. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it, because like you said, you just don't know at this point. But he fits into that. I mean, I don't see him as like, oh, I can't see him as somebody that would do House of the Dragon, you know?
I definitely do, but at the same time, he's currently tied up with Witcher, and I don't know if Netflix would want him to do that, because it's kind of like, back when, I'm going to fall back on an analogy that fits into my wheelhouse. It's back when, like, Pierce Brosnan was almost James Bond for The Living Daylights, and then Remington Steele gets renewed.
Yeah.
And then the heads of the James Bond franchise are like, well, we don't want him to be both because that's going to confuse the brand. It's like, how do you sign Henry Cavill onto House of the Dragon with anything but a major role? And how do you do that while Witcher is still very much a going concern for Netflix? They probably kick in several million on his contract just to prevent that.
There's part of me that I hear, whenever I hear that stuff, oh, they'll confuse the brand. Okay. Like, I just feel like people are a little bit smarter than they think,
Mm-hmm.
It just seems
big fans, yeah.
It just seems really weak to me.
Well, I think it would be more along the lines of Netflix just wouldn't want him to be pulling double duty and muddy their brand with him.
Yeah.
But also, there still is, it's still a concern. I know it may sound weak to you, but there is still a concern of, well, we want people to be able to tell the difference, because Witcher and Game of Thrones, to like a more casual fan, are going to have very similar imprints. It's like, oh, medieval adjacent fantasy where there's creatures and sex and muscles and nudity.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I was drunk on Sunday, and which you found out about when I called you video, not even called you video, called you.
This over here calls me and says, move to Iowa. And to be honest, if that is the message that you're getting from your friends when they're drunk, they're good friends.
I tested out a vodka drink a little too fast, which led to many other drinks. But anyways, so by the time that House of the Dragon came on, I got to sit down. I was still a little buzzed, It wasn't full tilt, but I'm watching it and I'm just like, my tolerance was down for shows, and it was like, the show sucks. And I don't know what it is, but they need to do something with that to make it more interesting, because my thought right now is I don't know who I'm cheering for. I don't know what to care about. And I don't know what you want me to do in this. I don't know.
What do you want, Lois? What do you want?
Pretty much. It really does come down to that, where it's, I was telling you quick off the air earlier. It's like, I don't know who the good guys or the bad guys are in it. And I don't, yeah. And there's just like, and I brought it up the one time. It was like when you got introduced to Game of Thrones, you knew there was a really bad villain in the North. It was zombies, right? And the Night King and all this other stuff. You knew that you got introduced to the Starks, which you liked the Starks. They're a good, nice, wholesome family up there. You brought in the Lannisters, and they were kind of weirdos that slept with each other. And you had some general ideas of who you liked, who you didn't like, and what the big problem was. This one is just like, here's a whole bunch of Game of Thrones stuff. Figure it out. Like,
have fun.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, but Matt Smith doesn't even bring that around for me. But you know what? Thinking about Elizabeth Olsen or Henry Cavill being in there, I would be okay with that, because at least they'd be interesting.
Matt Smith can't save everything. He will try. And he does so good, but eventually there is like a point where even his talents just can't.
Oh, he's boring in it.
I will say he made Morbius for me. He made Morbius such an enjoyable
There you go.
Somewhat enjoyable experience for me. But
I like how it started out and just went downhill.
He's the best part of that movie. And I have a feeling that if I watched House of the Dragon, he'd be the best part of it for me, and everything else would just be like, eh.
I want it to be, but it's just, it's hard to watch. Rick and Morty was funny, though. I'll give that. So, anyways.
I need to catch up on Rick and Morty.
Yeah, you need to catch up on
I do have one last story if you want to close out.
Well, I was going to tell you need to catch up on that, and you need to catch up on Star Trek as well, because they had the Season 3 trailer for Picard for Star Trek
There's
Day.
a lot of stuff I need to catch up with on Star Trek.
Boy, there's a lot of I mean, you do D3 and Paramount all at the same time. That was within a week of each other, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, D23 was this past week, and there was like the Secret Invasion trailer, there's the National Treasure Edge of History trailer. And something that they didn't announce at D23, Rogue Squadron's been officially taken off of the schedule.
Oh, really? Which one was that?
Quick history. I think it was late 2020. There was the Disney shareholder meeting, and they announced that Patty Jenkins, before Wonder Woman 1984 was released onto streaming, it was announced that Patty Jenkins was going to be doing Rogue Squadron.
Yes.
And it was going to come out for December 2023 because Disney had this whole schedule mapped out where every other year it was going to be Star Wars or Avatar at the movies for Christmas.
Yeah.
And it was starting with Avatar coming out this year for Christmas. Next year was going to be Rogue Squadron, Avatar 3 in 2025, and so on and so forth. So it has been announced. Well, it was first announced that Rogue Squadron was put on hold towards the end of last year. They hadn't changed the release date, and everyone's wondering, is this still going to make December 2023?
Yeah.
Today, they finally pulled it off the schedule and said that a new Star Wars movie will be coming out in, I think they said 2025. So that would still keep them on schedule, missing a Star Wars movie for next year. So Avatar 2 comes out this year, Avatar 3 2024, Avatar 4 2026. Like every other year, there's a Star Wars movie still on the books for 2027. It just looks like, I don't even know if the Patty Jenkins incarnation of Rogue Squadron is still alive. I don't know if we'll get to see this movie. But the one thing I will say is I want Joseph Kosinski to get it because he did such beautiful work on Top Gun Maverick that he should not only get this, he should throw his cards on the table at Disney and say, okay, I'll make Rogue Squadron. You give me Tron Ascension back, and let's make it. Oh,
that'd be awesome. Patty Jenkins, do you think she got that taken away because of Wonder Woman 2?
I would not be surprised, because if the whispers and conventional wisdom are true about Star Wars Episode 9, Colin Trevorrow lost that because of Book of Henry.
Wonder Woman 2
was that movie
bad.
Got skewered when it came out.
And don't get me wrong, I love Gal Gadot, especially as Wonder Woman. I think she's great. That wasn't a good movie.
It was a hard fail. It was just a big, face plant. And it's not even close.
All right. Well, we'll have to see what happens with that. Also, real quick, apparently Harrison Ford cried on stage.
Yeah, he was saying goodbye to Indiana Jones because he confirmed once again that it is going to be his final appearance in Indiana Jones 5. And I don't know if it was before or after he did, but Ke Huy Quan was there.
Short Round.
The actor who played Short Round in Temple of Doom. Yes, he was there and they reunited. And the one thing that everyone said that I totally agree, you look at that photo, that's the happiest that man has looked at a press event in so long. And I would love if maybe they're keeping it under wraps for now, but I would love to see Short Round come back and be vindicated as a more serious figure in Indiana Jones 5. Apparently they showed a teaser trailer, and John Rhys Davies' Salah's coming back. There's also whispers on the internet that Karen Allen's Marion is coming back as well, who we saw get married to Indiana Jones at the end of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And this would all line up as this being the series defining finale. I really hope they bring him back because he was fantastic in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Ke Huy Quan is just someone that he's kind of on the rise again right now.
Yeah.
He's in Loki season 2. He was confirmed, and just more of that, please.
I just hope it is a good send-off for him, and not I hope it's Last Crusade good. I really do.
Me too. And like, I love that James Mangold is directing it, because there are very few people I could think of that could do this movie justice and not be Steven Spielberg. And the man who directed Ford v Ferrari, 310 to Yuma, and Logan, I think is the one to do it.
So, all right then. Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend.com joins me every Friday on the show to talk about movies. Mike, have yourself a good weekend, all right, buddy?
Yeah, you too, man. You know, you gotta go out there and do something. You know, watch a movie, or maybe fight a dragon.
Yeah,
do that.
Go ride a dragon or whatever. You know, real quick about House of the Dragon before I let you go. I saw a great meme where it was somebody said, every time I see a saddle on a dragon, I'm just laughing thinking about Game of Thrones of Daenerys Targaryen holding on for dear life.
The dragons become different, you know. They're a noble, peaceful race, and then they kind of got mad at humans, and they're like, well, hold on.
There you go. Mike Reyes, CinemaBlend.com. We'll see you, dude.
Bones!